Have you ever felt deep down in your soul that you're facing something bigger than you imagined? As if you're being tested in every way, and the feeling of being at the limit is constant? Maybe you haven't realized it yet, but life has been testing your inner strength, your life's purpose, and your faith in profound ways. And the real question is, are you chosen? Can you face the spiritual challenges that arise before you, or will you let yourself be defeated by adversity? I know it might seem difficult. It may feel like the universe is against you, and the obstacles just keep increasing. But what you don't see is that these tests are not punishments, but disguised opportunities. The path to spiritual freedom and true enlightenment begins with the acceptance that nothing in your way is by chance. If you're reading this now, it's because the time has come to discover if you have the courage to pass through these trials and come out stronger, more aligned with your alternative self, more ready to manifest the dreams and goals that have been on the sidelines of your reality. This is the moment to flip the switch. Here, you'll understand how every test that life presents to you is, in fact, the key to unlocking your true essence. Get ready, the path may be challenging, but the solution lies in your own steps. Are you ready to discover if you are chosen? Let's go. Some awaken on an ordinary day and suddenly the world feels strange. It's not that it has changed on the outside, but on the inside. This is the beginning of the test of inner truth, a silent but deep moment where the soul tires of wearing masks. Who you truly are no longer fits the clothes the world has tailored for you. It's like trying to force a luminous aura into a dark mold. And then the question echoes mercilessly. Who am I, really? Looking into the mirror of the soul is not cheap poetry. It's having the courage to strip away borrowed identities, the exemplary child, the successful professional, the reliable friend, and ask if that really makes sense. At this point, many run away, diving into distractions or superficial spiritualities, thinking that meditating for 10 minutes is enough. But those who are serious about spiritual growth know this confrontation is inevitable. It's not just about self-help, but about real illumination, the kind that shakes even the structure of your internal parallel universe. A practical tip: write your story in 3 versions: who you were, who you are, and who you pretend to be. Read it aloud, feel the discomfort. If you feel like tearing up one of those versions, you're on the right path. Consciousness doesn't expand for convenience, but for raw truth. And the more truth you face, the clearer you become about your life's purpose, your relationships, and which alternative reality you truly want to manifest. But be careful, because when the silence of the soul begins to speak, the world outside may seem too noisy. Silence. Sounds simple, right? But try turning off your phone for an entire day and observe the desperation creep in. Most people aren't running from the world, they're running from themselves. In the test of solitude, the real challenge isn't being alone, it's withstanding your own company. Spiritual growth requires this strategic retreat from noise, because only in emptiness does the voice of conscience gain strength. It's in this space that spiritual awakening begins to whisper. Many confuse solitude with abandonment. But those seeking enlightenment soon realize that silence is not absence. It is pure presence. Want an exercise? Spend a morning without music, without social media, without conversations. Grab a notebook and write whatever comes. Seems simple, but this is where the key lies. When the mind stops chasing stimuli, it finds the portal to natural meditation, mindfulness, and reconnecting with your alternative self. It's in this intimate retreat that the greatest insights are born, revelations that no guru, book, or YouTube channel can deliver. It's in this place that you discover that the emptiness you fear is, in fact, the fertile space where potential blooms. Solitude is not punishment, it's a portal, and some only realize this after facing their own darkness. And speaking of darkness, it still holds a denser and more transformative test. Letting go hurts, doesn't it? especially when we believe that what we hold on to is essential for our happiness. But the test of detachment comes to show that much of what we carry is actually slowing us down. It's not about living without ties, but not being a prisoner of them. A true spiritual journey requires lightness, and lightness only exists where there is no excess. Spirituality doesn't go well with rotten emotional baggage or attachment to realities that have already expired. Make no mistake, we're not talking about dropping everything and becoming a hermit. We're talking about trusting the flow of the law of attraction. What is yours vibrates at your frequency, and what isn't dissolves. The person who needs to learn this, for example, might start by organizing their home. Yes, that's right. Donate clothes you haven't worn in a year. Delete conversations that only bring heavy energy. Let go of that almost relationship that only takes up space in your field. All of this directly affects your aura, your creativity, and even your finances. When you learn to let go, the universe understands that you're ready to receive. It's like clearing space in your phone's memory. Only then can new downloads of reality occur. Self-improvement comes from the courage to choose temporary emptiness rather than the comfort of what no longer serves you. And look, sometimes this emptiness deepens so much that it feels like everything is falling apart. And then, the soul dives into a long and silent night. The truth is, no one chooses to enter the dark night of the soul. It arrives without warning, like an internal blackout. Suddenly, what once made sense simply loses its shine. Work doesn't inspire, relationships crumble, motivation evaporates. It's as if the universe has pulled the rug from under you, causing you to fall flat on the ground of existence. But this fall, my friend, is strategic, because only when everything breaks can the light of consciousness penetrate through the cracks. At this point, many think they are losing everything, but in reality, they are only losing illusions. The deep suffering of the dark night is a kind of spiritual surgery, painful but necessary. And here's a life tip. When this moment comes, don't fight it. Instead, write, meditate, walk in silence through nature. Listen to music that calms your soul. Read books like The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle or When Things Fall Apart by Pema Chodron. This will keep you aligned with the awakening process. It is in this darkness that true personal growth blooms. It's not beautiful nor romantic, but it is sacred, because it is in the collapse of the old identity that your alternative self begins to be born. The pains are like the contractions of a new being coming to the surface. And even if you don't see it yet, something is being gestated deep within, something that will require from you an invisible force called faith. The faith that moves mountains is not the same as the faith that waits for ready-made miracles. It is born in the dark when nothing makes sense, but something within you insists on continuing. The test of faith does not require answers, but trust. Trust that chaos has a hidden code, that the parallel universe knows what it's doing even when the plan seems crazy. And look, maintaining positive thinking in these moments, it's an exercise of manifestation, not of denying the pain. Think with me. The plane only rises against the wind. In the same way, the soul only elevates in the face of resistance. When you choose to trust, and even without proof, without guarantees, without approval likes, something within you aligns with the law of insights. And suddenly, a sign appears. An unexpected meeting happens. A book falls out of nowhere into your hands. This is not a coincidence. It is vibrational coherence. Spirituality has a peculiar sense of humor, and it tests whether you truly believe or just repeat ready-made phrases. Want to strengthen that faith? Have rituals. Create an altar with symbols that connect you. Write powerful affirmations. Meditate, visualizing what you desire already fulfilled. With real emotion, make small promises to yourself and keep them. This activates the energy of trust, because in the end, true faith is the bridge between spiritual awakening and surrender to the invisible flow that governs everything. And guess what the next step is? Surrender. A misunderstood word, right? It seems like weakness, it seems like giving up. But in the world of consciousness, surrendering is the most powerful act there is. It's like saying, "Okay, universe, I trust you more than I trust my anxiety." This test requires letting go of the control the ego loves so much. It requires stopping swimming against the current and instead floating, with your eyes closed, in the river of existence. And this, my friend, is no small feat. It's pure courage. In practice, surrender begins with small choices. Accepting that not every relationship needs to last. Allowing yourself to change course even if everyone says you're giving up. Stopping the obsession of trying to predict the next step. The spiritual journey is more of an internal GPS than strategic planning. And you know what's crazy? When you surrender, things flow, answers come, coincidences increase. The law of attraction seems to work with turbo. Want an exercise? Take a situation that is stuck in your life, a difficult conversation, a stalled project, a delayed dream. Write down everything you are trying to control in it. Then, right next to it, I release. Do this with intention. Breathe, and watch the subtle miracle of the parallel universe starting to move. Because only when the mind lets go does the spirit awaken, and with it, a new vision of yourself begins to emerge. Here it is. After so many tests, you finally realize what you've always sought outside was inside all along. The test of awakening is not about finding something new, but about remembering who you've always been. Your soul, this alternative self you ignored for so long, finally manifests, bringing clarity and power. You understand at last that your mission is not somewhere distant, but you being you in your most authentic form. And this, my friend, is true enlightenment. This moment does not come with a drumbeat or a grand mystical revelation. It arrives slowly, like someone realizing that life is not a race, but a dance. Personal growth is natural, fluid, like the tide. Sometimes all it takes is giving yourself permission to be who you really are, without masks, without fears, without external pressures. Spirituality begins to become a way of life, not something to be achieved. You are in the flow of your own life's purpose, and the journey will never be the same again. Want a practical tip? Meditate on your life's mission. Ask yourself, how can I express myself uniquely in this world? If you don't know yet, don't rush. Awakening happens according to the soul's timing. But the key is giving that space for your true essence to manifest. And when it happens, the next step will be spiritual freedom. And then, oh then, my friend, comes the big prize. Spiritual freedom is not just a pretty concept you read in self-help books. It is the state of being completely aligned with the universe, with your mission, and with the flow of life. When you pass through the previous tests and arrive here, you realize that true freedom is not about having no external ties, but about being free from internal chains. It's no longer about fighting against the world, but dancing with it. You've understood that the key to success is not in being what others expect, but in being yourself. Those who have passed through the tests and emerged on the other side know spirituality is not about escaping reality, but about reinterpreting it. The same circumstances that once seemed challenging are now seen as opportunities for growth and manifestation. And the best part? The more you awaken, the more creativity and potential arise, often in unexpected ways. Success is seen with new eyes, and what once seemed like an obstacle is now just a lesson in the form of opportunity. Want to better understand what this freedom is? Look at your life's purpose and ask, what can I do today to live with more authenticity? It's not about reaching something distant, but about embracing the now. And when you start acting with focus and confidence, true spiritual freedom reveals itself in all its beauty. Now the question is, are you ready to move forward? The next step is to bring your vision to life. Now that you know what each of these spiritual tests can reveal about your journey, the question is, what will you do with all of this? Will you continue running from the truth that lives within you, or will you face these challenges head-on and begin manifesting the life you truly deserve? True spiritual awakening happens when you decide that you will no longer accept a limited version of yourself. So, if you feel like you haven't gotten there yet, don't give up. It is precisely in this process that you will learn to attract what you really want into your life, whether in the field of relationships, finances, or even health. Now it's time to put all of this into practice. Ask yourself, what step will I take today to get closer to my true life purpose? If you don't know the answer yet, don't worry. The path unfolds as you begin to trust the process. And if you want to keep learning, diving deeper into this subject, and awakening to your true potential, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notifications. Because in the end, what you're seeking is closer than you think, and your journey is just beginning.